Hello, Web Pathfinder. Welcome once again. I'm excited to be coming your way this week. And this week, our emphasis on the leadership principle conflict. In the context of what we're going through in our nation today, this is very important as we bring you this topic, conflict, in our character, ethics, and value campaign, the secret of top 1%. We're looking at the leadership principle conflict. What is conflict? Conflict is the clash of interest, clash of ideas, clash of opinion. It is to come into disagreement, to be contradictory, to be at variance or in opposition. The basis of conflict is different from the root cause of conflict. We must understand that. There are different bases of conflicts, okay? But in any case, what I want to establish, because there are different bases of conflict which is present in our society, conflict will always be part of our society. Conflict will always be part of our relationship. Okay, so it's important that we know how to manage conflict. The basis of conflict may be personal, it may be racial, it may be class, it may be background, it may be political, different political interests, different political idea, okay, ideology and what have you. The natural tendency of conflict and its associated emotion, the emotion associated with conflict, okay, can be negative most of the time, because good majority of people can't differentiate the basis of conflict and the root cause of conflict. So when the associated emotion is not properly managed, conflict leads to fight, leads to battle, leads to struggle, leads to strife, leads to controversy, quarrel, antagonism, opposition, name it, okay? Because why? People can't differentiate the basis of conflict and the root cause of conflict. So what are the bases of conflict? Like we said, it can be background, it can be personal, it can be racial, okay, all right? But know this, because of this, okay, associated negative emotion and response, and the consequences of the response of conflict when it's not properly, when the right response is not given, a lot of people think that we should completely avoid conflict. We should live life without conflict, but that's not possible. However, in spite of that, feeling that we should live without conflict, okay, we find out that behind every remarkable man, behind every remarkable woman, behind every remarkable relationship, there are stories of great conflict. Why is it so? The result of good management of conflict leads to experiences, okay, that have taught these people the principle of life, that have made them wiser, okay, and build character and build great relationships. So in addition that good management of conflict leads to great character and great relationship, okay, it also helps us to develop wisdom, okay, that makes us succeed in whatever we do in life. Okay, and you agree with me that both character and strong relationship are key to success in life and business. And good management of conflict can lead us to build, great wisdom, great character, and great relationship. I give you an example, okay, between conflict and growth, what I call the cycle of growth and conflict. Conflict causes tension. I'm sure we know that. Conflict causes tension. And without tension, there can be no growth. In the John Maxwell team, there's what we call the law of rubber band. We say growth stops when there's no longer tension between where you are and where you want to be. So tension always causes growth. So one way you know that your environment you are right now is no longer conducive for growth is that there are no longer tension. So tension is required for us to grow. However, as we grow as a person, okay, new ideas are created. From these new ideas, opinions are formed, and we are bound to present these opinions and new ideas to others. But because other people are not exposed to the ideas we are exposed to, they are not growing at the pace we are growing, what happens? At first, they tend to disagree, and this disagreement is conflict. So if you know how to manage that, this disagreement will also cause you to begin to grow, for you to be able to manage the conflict. As you grow also, you come up with new ideas, okay, new opinions that you present that a good majority of people also will not accept. So you find out that you have a cycle of growth and a circle of what? Of conflict. And if you keep managing very well, you find out that you keep growing. Okay? And you keep growing. So because we all do not, grow at the same pace, and we don't hold the same idea and the same opinion, there will always be conflict. Therefore, a major part of our life is spent in how to present our own ideas, how to present our opinion, how to react to the ideas and opinion of others. This is part of our life, this is part of our business, and the good management of conflict is required if you must succeed in life and in relationship and in business. Therefore, conflict is meant to make you better, not to make you bitter. I repeat that. Conflict is meant to make us better and not to make us bitter. So as we deal with conflict and the tension that comes with it, we should become better people. Though conflict, through conflict, we discover our strength and our weakness. Okay, it makes us better. That's when we discover our strength. The Bible says, when you fail in the days of conflict, when you fail in the days of adversity, what happened? He said your strength is small. So you can tell your strength. And this also presents the opportunity for growth. Why? Because when you tell about your strength and your weakness, you can reinforce your strength, okay, and work and deal with your weaknesses. And that in itself is growth. So how do I overcome conflict? Not avoid conflict, because you shouldn't avoid conflict. When you avoid conflict, what happens? You create more conflict. So you shouldn't avoid conflict. You should actually, challenge conflict, face conflict, and try and overcome it. Okay? A lot of people have said act outside the box. Every problem you have, the solution is within the box. So when you say think outside the box, you never come up with a creative solution when you think outside the box. So the solution is within the context of the problem. So that's why it's important that we understand the root cause of conflict, because there also lies the solution of overcoming conflict. To overcome conflicts, we all need to grow in reasoning and making choices. Okay? So why? Because the root cause of conflict is difference in reasoning and the choices that we make. Is the difference in reasoning and the choice. So for us to be able to overcome conflict, we must all need to grow in reasoning and making choices. We need always to pause and listen. Remember, we have said that to listen means that, to understand beyond what you hear and see. Okay, the message behind the word, the message behind what you see. You listen to understand so that you can understand the situation of others, where people are coming from. We will all do well to elevate our reasoning capacity and the capacity to be able to make the right and informed choices to overcome conflict. What is required to overcome conflict? The capacity to be able to reason, listen, and understand beyond what you see and hear, okay, and the ability and the capacity to be able to make right choices, okay, in the face of situation. For example, I give you an example of this concluded, crisis. A lot of people say, okay, they blame the crisis to hoodlum. They call them hoodlum. So, there's a class difference here. So there's a crisis that comes on the basis of class difference. And what, the upper class call these lower class people is hoodlum. And these people say we are not hoodlum, okay, we are hungry. So that's the difference. So you find out that people in authority, okay, don't really understand the situation. So they blame it on some other thing. They blame it on the basis. But the root cause is because these people over time have been mentally subjected. Okay, their mentality has long been subjected, by deprivation and what have you. They can't reason the way you reason, and they can't make choices the way you make choices. So what is the solution? The first solution is to acknowledge, okay, there's a difference in reasoning and capacity to make choices. And what we need to do is find a way to begin to elevate, okay, their capacity to reason and their capacity to make choices. And when we do that, we find out that instead of calling them hoodlum, we understand that we have subjected their mental capacity for a long time. We have deprived them. As a result, what happened? There's a gap between how they reason, how they make choices, and the wider the gap, what happened? The wider with the conflict and the consequences of conflict, because they don't know how to react positively and manage conflict. So this is very important that we understand. So the wider the reasoning capacity of people, and the ability to make choices, the more likely, okay, we're going to have conflict. And the wider the gap, the more severe the conflict we have. Okay, so like unfortunately our leaders don't understand this, but there's a need for us to understand that is issue of the capacity to reason and the capacity to make choices. When you elevate that, what happens? You're going to have less conflict and you're able to deal with conflict better. So there are two ways, two sides of conflict. Basically, you need to understand that. Two sides of conflict. Conflict can make us better people, or can make us angry at life. It depends on your understanding. That's why we are bringing this video to you. Conflict can make you better people in life, make us better people in life. On the other hand, it can make us angry. We can be humble and thankful and allow conflict to improve our character and teach us lessons of life and make us wiser, or we can be critical, haughty, and arrogant. Okay, right now I see an arrogant reaction from some section of the leadership concerning the conflict and the crisis we are having. The right reaction is to acknowledge that these people have been neglected for such a long time, is to take responsibility and assure them and give them hope that we're going to do whatever it takes to elevate your reasoning, to elevate your ability to make choices and be able to make a better thing out of your life. Once they have this hope, you find out that this conflict begins to disappear. Therefore, it's wrong to have a conflict, okay? It's not wrong to have a conflict, or we should not be afraid of conflict, because conflict can make something good out of us. In fact, we can't grow or make progress without conflict. That's the truth. We cannot grow or we cannot make progress without conflict. Most new ideas are initially rejected, okay, as they conflict with the comfortable old habits. Every time you bring new ideas, what happens? The first reaction is that a lot of people who are in their comfort zone with their old habit will reject it. So that's conflict in itself. And if you don't know how to manage it, what is going to happen? You're going to have, okay, a situation. So if we have a good attitude during conflict, we will learn other people's perspective to problem, and that will help us build solid relationship. When we learn other people's perspective to problem, their reasoning, the choice, why they make the choices that they make, what happened, okay, we will do better, okay, with our relationship. This is very important. So one of such good attitude to conflict is to accept that conflict will always exist. One good attitude to conflict management is to accept that we will always have conflict. When we accept that conflict will always exist, we will have a better approach and outlook towards those who we are in conflict with, because we already understand that conflict will always, the right attitude towards conflict will help us avoid wars and, preserve and even improve our relationship. Avoid conflict, crisis, and help us to do what? Improve our relationship. And we will grow and progress as a person and become problem solvers rather than complaining and whining. I encourage you to be a problem solver and not a complainer or a whiner. Therefore, it is good to prepare for conflict, for without preparation, we can't win in conflict. So how do I prepare for conflict? How do you prepare for conflict? One, accept that in human dealings, in human relationship, conflict will always happen, whether you like it or not, because of difference in ideas and difference in opinion, okay, different in exposure, there will always be conflict. Two, always be ready to win or lose in a conflict. It is strength even to lose in a conflict. Don't always want to win in a conflict. Always listen to the superior argument, okay, and be ready, to adopt it. Here, vulnerability is strength. As I close, okay, as I conclude, note that if conflict is handled in the right way, it sharpens everyone involved. When we handle conflict in the right way, everyone involved benefits. The end result that is that every one of us, each of us will grow, we will improve, and will stretch. The end result of conflict that every one of us will grow, we will stretch, okay, and we improve. Conflict will challenge all our opinions and ideas to test them if they are valid. Only valid opinion, motive, and idea will survive conflict. And when your motive, idea survive conflict, what happens? You grow in influence and you become a better leader. People will trust you because your motive, your ideas survive conflict. It's superior. I hope this has been useful. If it is, I want you to share within your network, and more importantly, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I will see you next week. God bless you.